Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi wa bihi nasta'in. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammad. First of all, thank you very much for this interview, and I'm very glad to share the information regarding our struggle, our movement. Actually, the struggle of the Bangsamoro started for this generation. We started around more than 40 years. The struggle was ignited when the Bangsamoro Muslim, the government started to conduct a genocidal campaign against them in the late 60s, around 67, 68, and 69. There were thousands of innocent civilians, women, children, and old people massacred in many areas of the Bangsamoro homeland. So we were forced to defend ourselves. We have to form an organization, we organize ourselves, especially the youth at the time. We were in our youth at the time when we started organizing in 1968, and then we were forced to defend, and this was initiated by a so-called fanatic Christian organization, but the name is, they call it Ilaga. But then we found out that this fanatic Christian organization is being supported by the military of the government. So when the fighting, our defense became very obvious already, and then the president at the time declared martial law. So after declaring martial law, this was President Ferdinand Marcos.
Yes.
He had been ruling the country for so many years, and more than 20 years, so he declared martial law. And after declaring martial law, the situation worsened. Many of our people were, the atrocities against our people increased and worsened.
Yes.
So it turned out that we have to officially declare a liberation movement against the government, to secede from the government, because we only see that that is the only solution at the time. So we declared a liberation movement, although at the time we already have a Islamic movement starting in the early 60s. There is already an Islamic movement, but this Islamic movement was just engaged in da'wah.
It started with Ustaz Rahimahullah Salamat
Hashim. Yes.
Yes.
They started forming this during their days in studies in Cairo, Egypt, in Al-Azhar University. So when this situation arose, then this Islamic movement were responsible in organizing. At the first organization, we combined with other groups, the nationalist group, the professionals, and the traditional leaders. So this is the first organization we have, the Moro National Liberation Front.
Yes.
So it is a convergence of all the group, the Islamic movement, the nationalist movement, the professionals, the traditional leaders. So we started fighting the government. We received also support from Libya.
Yes.
Colonel Gaddafi.
The headquarters also over there.
Yes. So they sent us some weapons, so we started fighting, and so the situation really was turned into a full-blown war already in 1972, 73, and 74, until in 1975 the government tried to negotiate through the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. So through the intervention of the Islamic Cooperation, at the time it was Islamic OIC, Organization of Islamic Conference.
Yes.
Now it is Cooperation. So they intervened in 1975, and with the intervention of the with this OIC, then we started the negotiation in 1975. Then in 1976, we reached an agreement with the Philippine government. It was the Moro National Liberation Front. So, but it is a combination of all the groups.
All the groups, yes.
So we were thinking that after the negotiation, after having this agreement, then it will be implemented. But the government after that did not implement the agreement. So instead of implementing the agreement, they tried to form a bogus government allegedly for the Muslim. But this is only a dummy, because it has no power. It did not realize the agreement in 1976. So fighting again resumed after the government did not implement. And then there was also, it turned out also that there was an internal problem in the MNLF.
Yes.
So there was the split of the group. The nationalist group remained with Brother Nur Miswari,
yes,
and then the Islamic group sided with Ustaz Selamat Hashim,
yes,
and some of the youth and the professionals went to Ustaz Selamat Hashim. So
we heard something about that. Nearly 90% changed their
yes,
movement at that time.
Yes, about 90% of the commanders supported the Ustaz Selamat Hashim.
Yes.
And so we formed the MNLF faction under Selamat Hashim, because at the time the demand of the commander is to change the leadership of Miswari to Ustaz Selamat Hashim. But Miswari did not agree on that. So later on, in 1984, we decided to formally form an organization which will be an Islamic organization. So that we started in 1982. We started the Moro Islamic Liberation Front,
yes,
headed by Ustaz Rahmat, founded and headed by Ustaz Rahmat. So we started from there, and then from 1982 we started our we call it 4-point program.
yes.
the 4-point program we had. First is Islamization. Islamization means extensive da'wah program in order to inculcate that the struggle is a struggle in the name of Islam, and it is an obligation under the Islamic concept. Basically, it is a jihad.
Yes.
So we tried to crafted a program which is intended to inculcate in the minds of our people the Islamic character of the struggle. Because at the time of the Moro National Liberation Front, it was never been, there has been no program about Islamization. Yes. So we focus more on this. So the second part of the program is strengthening of organization. Yes. So we tried to gather as much people as we can and organize them. So from the higher echelon of the organization up to the lowest echelon, so we try to organize in order to gain strength, because we believe that a strong organization is the only binding force that can unite us. Then the third is military build-up. Military build-up is to be able to have our own armed forces to defend our people, our land, and to advance our jihad, our struggle. Yes. So we started conducting trainings, military trainings. Then we also sent some brothers to be trained outside the country, and then also we produce our own, we try to strengthen our weapons.
Weapons, yes.
Yes, first we try to have our own modest factory of weapons inside the jungle. And we succeeded getting technology in order to make our own weapons. At that time, it was only at the beginning of the struggle in 1972, under the MNLF, when Libya sent some. Aside from that, no.
At the beginning, just Libya?
Yeah, just Libya, yes. So. Then, aside from making our own weapons, then we try to buy weapons from outside, also from gun runners. We have managed to contact some dealers of weapons, and then we also try to mobilize support from various Islamic organizations. Alhamdulillah, many Islamic organizations supported us also, and so we managed to procure some weapons from outside. So that strengthened our. Then on our training program, we reached we had trained more than 100,000 mujahideen. Alhamdulillah, they were well trained and they were organized, and despite they are not in full duty because they have to work for their family also, but they are ready to defend, and they are ready at any time when called for duty, inshallah. So the fourth program we have is we developed the concept of self-reliance. meaning everybody is encouraged to work for his own and not rely to the organization or not rely to support from other people. So that is the first important thing, is to let them understand the concept of self-reliance. So we try to work on that. We establish projects for the organization. Then every group will have also its own self-generating income projects. So we tried to develop this because at the time there was no country supporting us, no Islamic country supporting us. So we rely on the support of the people, the Islamic movements outside, and also our self-reliance program. So alhamdulillah, after implementing this program, then the MILF became the biggest and strongest organization of the Muslim in southern Philippines until now, alhamdulillah. We are now facing these challenges. The challenges now is this proliferation of extremism, yes. Because as the world is now engulfed into this extremist movement, then we are also affected. Because of the failure of the negotiation with the government. It has been for many years, more than 40 years now, we have been fighting and then negotiating and fighting, but it seems that the youth feel that there is no hope in this process. Yes. So at the time also that these people from the Middle East are coming in here, and also the neighboring places like Indonesia, extremist group, radical group from Indonesia, from Malaysia, trying to come down to us and then try to recruit youth, because they feel that they are planning to establish a radical organization in South Philippines. They feel that it is easier to mobilize people because of they can capitalize on the seeming failure of the peace negotiation. So the happening in Marawi was actually an awakening situation for the Bangsamoro people, because this happening really surprised everybody, because nobody, even the government, nobody think that this small group of influenced radical group can be capable of attacking a city and surviving for more than 6 months in the city, and then totally destroying the entire city. Actually, this group, a small group, it was, although there are already several radical groups that helped them, but this main group who started the fighting is just a small group. It is led by 2 brothers. One studied in Al-Azhar University in Cairo, and then the other one in Jordan. And they were radicalized while studying. They were originally members of the MILF, but after studying abroad, they were radicalized. And when they came back, they tried to organize their own group.
Yes.
So after organizing, then that is where they planned the attack in Marawi. Marawi was never been attacked by, even during the time when at the height of the war.
That was a beautiful city, a lot of Islamic buildings and
so many mosques.
Yes, there is many mosques and buildings.
And this city is actually basically 100% Muslim. Although there are Christians there, but merely workers. They are not residents. So during our struggle, we never attack this city because we feel that this city is already liberated city. Everybody is, all the people there are supporter of the organization, supporter of the struggle. So we did not, we never intended to attack Marawi or fight in Marawi because but this group, I think some people try to encourage them, and according to report
from outside also.
From outside,
yes.
That is why. So now Marawi was completely destroyed.
Yes.
It has never happened in the more than 40 years of our struggle. It never happened. A city like this will be totally destroyed. Because usually in our struggle we do not attack civilian because we see that it is not advantageous at all to attack civilian communities. So we do not. Then with this situation, so actually nobody benefited from what happened in Marawi. This extremist group also did not benefit because most of them were killed. The leaders, most of them were killed, and then people also get very upset on them. And then the government also, well, the government may have gained in trying to picture out that there is the necessity to declare martial law in Mindanao because of this fighting. So the government declared martial law, and but then generally it also did not politically did not benefit them. Then on the side of the Bangsamoro struggle, it is giving the perception that this might affect the peace process, yes, as the more and more youth will be radicalized. So there is some kind of developing doubt among people that if this radicalism cannot be countered, then the peace process, which is already almost at the finishing phase, will be affected by this radicalization. So this is the challenge we are facing now. We are trying our best to counter this radicalization of our people, and then on the side also of the peace process, we are trying to find a way that it will succeed in order that we can prevent more radicalization. Actually, President Duterte is the kind of a politician and personality who differ from the other Filipino traditional politicians. Firstly, Duterte came from not from an elite family. He's
from Republic.
Yeah, and he's the first first president from Mindanao. And as far as the struggle of the Bangsamoro, among the people president who became president, he is the only one who have a bigger knowledge of an understanding of the struggle of the Moro, because he is in Mindanao and he is even claiming that he has a blood Muslim. So even during his campaign, he have been very open in trying to impress people that when he become president, he will implement the agreement with the MILF and then establish a government for the Bangsamoro people, and then solve the injustices against the Moro people. So this gives some kind of optimism from many people because they feel that this president is different from the other president. But then it remains also to be seen, because we see that in the more than 1 year of his administration, he is not focused on one situation. Although he keep on saying that he will continue with the peace process and he will implement, but then he is more focused on other program also. His program on countering drugs, his program on countering corruption, and then his program for reverting the country into a federal government, federal state. Yes. So this gives some kind of we call it, it can be a disappointment to some people, because it seems that he's not very focused also on it. But then on our side, we continue working with him, because we also feel that at this point in time, he is the only president who has the capability to really implement the agreement we have with the government. So if he will be sincere in this, then he has the capability, because he controls almost the two chambers to parliament, the lower and the upper parliament. Because now the agreement will be implemented only if the law that is crafted to implement the agreement will be passed in the parliament.
Sure.
So, inshallah, if he will really be true to his commitment, then there is a good chance under him. But as I have said, what is giving some wrong signal to people is because he's not focused in one. He has so many programs that is. So we hope that now on the Marawi incident, actually, personally, he did not ask help from the MILF or other, because even the MNLF volunteered to fight with the soldiers in Marawi, but he declined. He did not allow. And then for us, we do
also
not
at that time he declined also the helping offers from United States.
Yes, he declined. But then after that, then silently the offers of the United States were accepted. And then on our side, we do not want to support also a fighting between Muslim and Muslim. We don't want to also to, but then we tried our best in order to help. What we did is we volunteered to rescue this. There are so many people who are trapped in the battlefield. So that is where we volunteered to help. We tried to ask the president that since there are so many people who are trapped in the battlefield, then we want to help in order to rescue them. So we agreed to establish we call it corridor of peace, meaning an area where this can be.
There's no any battlefield and
so we succeeded, alhamdulillah, in this, and then we asked him to help in the relief, in the evacuees, relief and humanitarian aid to the evacuees. So that is where we played our important role, and because we feel that that is where we can help, because firstly we do not see that the government will also permit fighting against this terrorist group, and then it's not also we do not want also to have a scenario where Muslim and Muslim are fighting each other. Okay. First of all, the late professor Erbakan was among our best friend and supporter at the time. But they were quite close with the late chairman. Because they were contemporary. At the time that our late chairman was organizing already the Islamic movement in Cairo, Egypt, he was in touch already with Professor McMahon, and at the time also the professor was also organizing his Islamic movement. So we were almost together
grown up
in the Islamic movement. For me, I started having contact with him in 1984. I visited him in Ankara, in the headquarters of Rifa Party. So I stayed for about 2 weeks in the headquarters and had a series of meeting with him, and frankly, we find the professor a great person. He has a very wide his Islamic movement is not only meant for his people, but the entire Islamic Ummah. So that is where we see that we need to build a strong relationship with him, because we feel that we have a common objective. So we work with him. We have been communicating with him at the time, and then try to if there are some necessities where we can help each other, then we try to communicate with him, and he is very open also to us and to our movement. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. And
actually,
readers also.
This is really the main problem of the Muslim Ummah, because until now, after the Caliphate, now there is no unity among Muslims, among the Muslim countries and among the Muslim Ummah, Muslim communities. So I share the vision of the late professor to have a united Muslim Union of Muslims, where everybody work for the betterment of Islam and for the betterment of the Muslim Ummah. And this can only be achieved if there is cooperation between Islamic countries and Islamic communities. So, although this is a very challenging, but I think with the help of Allah, it's not impossible to achieve, inshallah. Although, as I have said, at this point in time, it becomes very challenging because the enemy of Islam will always find a way in order that the Muslim will not be united. You will see that this is always their weapon against Islam, to they call it divide and rule, to divide the Muslims, and everywhere now the Muslims are being target of disunity. So it is very challenging, but inshallah, with the help of Allah, we can achieve, inshallah.